So it's a pleasure to have Jason Parlett here today. Jason's been in the fashion industry for 20 years in PR, communications and branding.
That's right, that's me.
If you were going to put into one sentence your expertise, what would that be, do you think?
Oh, look, there's that old saying, you know, a jack of all trades and a master of none, which I love to some extent. But I think, what would I say in one sentence? I think I'd probably say, you know, I have always been very passionate about fashion and have ended up, you know, very accidentally working in the fashion industry, but having a wonderful opportunity to work across many different areas. So, you know, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes. I think that probably sums it up.
Fabulous. We meet so many people throughout our professional lives. In your professional life, who's been the kindest to you?
That's a great question, and actually I've got a great answer. I think the kindest person to me is a woman called Lucinda Pitt, and I met her when I was in a role with a luxury brand. I was very shy, and I used to have to kind of go and help host these luxury brand parties in the store, and I just hated it. It was just so out of my comfort zone. Lucinda at the time was the editor of Elle magazine, so a very important, feature or person in Australian fashion. And I remember this one particular party, I was trying to hide in a corner, and I saw her eagle eyes look at me, and she waltzed over and introduced herself, and I think she just kind of sensed that I needed something to do, somebody to talk to, and she filled that gap. And we became friends, and she's actually now one of my best friends. And it's definitely, I think it was definitely a moment for me when I just felt like I was this, young kid in fashion, not knowing what to do or where to look, and to have somebody who had a bit more confidence and a bit more kind of experience, like reach out and be like, you're okay, I'll help you.
That is kind.
Yeah, and she's still very kind to me to this day.
She's a kind person.
Yeah. Yes.
Is there someone that you really admire in or out of the fashion industry?
Look, so many people. I've been really fortunate in my career to have a lot of wonderful mentors. So my first ever boss in PR when I first moved back to Australia from London, Gary Saunders, incredible mentor, taught me, the ins and outs of publicity in Australia, and how to be a wonderful publicist, and how to look after your clients, and how to do amazing account service, all with a sense of humour. And again, I'm still very good friends with him today. I still seek out his advice from time to time. I think, on an international level, I would say my favourite designer in the world is Yves Saint Laurent, and I just think what an amazing career and what an incredible vision, and it just must be so amazing to kind of, be able to have that creativity that just drives you every day to get up and create and make and do things differently, and so many innovations and so many, revolutionary things he did as part of his career. So he's probably the person internationally I most admire.
Fabulous. I'm sure Gary Saunders would love to be very happy with sitting next to YSL.
He'll be really happy. He'll be really happy with that, yeah.
How do you think brand management has changed in the last 10 years?
Dramatically. So interestingly, as you know, I just did the fashion industry class, and in that class we talk a lot about the innovations in Australia in the fashion industry that came about with the invention of the internet and social media. And I started my career pre-internet, in fact pre-mobile phone, and pre-social media. So a fax machine was my best friend back in my interning days, which really dates me. But I just think, once upon a time, Australian retail and branding was, if you wanted to experience a brand, you walked into a store to experience a brand. There was no online retail, there's no online presence. And now, of course, everybody's got every brand in the world at their fingertips, and, brands have an amazing opportunity to create their own, story through social media, through online, their online presence. You know, it was once upon a time it was an editorial in a magazine or an advertisement or a lookbook. So, you know, technology has had such an incredible and positive impact on branding. And I think opened up many doors and many creative doors to way brands can represent themselves and can really show, you know, what they stand for. And I think that very, you know, fine line between, or the curtain that used to be there between a brand and the behind the scenes of a brand doesn't exist so much anymore. So, you know, to be a brand that's successful in a market today, you have to be really authentic, you have to be really transparent, you know, you have to connect with your very well-informed consumer on so many more levels than just, you know, walking into a store and buying a product. It really has to be a bit more about everything that you do and the way that you operate on a bigger scale.
Complete change, isn't it?
It's like
the last 2 years.
Yeah.
10 years.
I mean, it's funny talking to students now, and many of them have grown up with mobile phone. You know, like I had my first mobile phone in my first real job at 22, and I used to switch it off when I walked in the door in the morning and switch it back on at lunchtime, switch it off again. Like it just wasn't, you know. And now I work in a world where, you know, social media is such a big part of my job, so I'm on my phone constantly, all day, every day, like making sure everything's running smoothly. And yeah, it's just, who would have thought we'd... That's so different. It has, yeah. But I think, you know, I mean, positives and negatives, but I think there are a lot of amazing positives come out of technology and innovation, and yeah.
A lot of little guys have got a voice.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, you know, once upon a time, to be a really successful brand, you had to have, you know, retail square footage and be in Westfield or be, you know, on the, you know, high street and have a presence, and magazines, you know, had to write about you, and now you can do that all yourself. Like, you don't even have to have a store. You can run a successful brand from your bedroom.
Absolutely.
If you want to, if you're driven and passionate. Yeah.
It's the true talent reigns, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah.
So we are your number one fan at FBI.
Thank you. It's very kind.
It's true. What's next for Jason?
Wow. I mean, I feel like I've been talking for, you know, 15 years about moving to the country and yeah, you know, just having chickens and a rose garden, and I don't know if that will ever happen, but it would be nice if there was some of that in the future, if there was a bit more of that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you kind of reach an age and stage in life where you're generally pretty content with most things. And, you know, I feel like I had a very, you know, a wonderful career at an early age that not a lot of people get to experience or get to have. So, yeah, I'm definitely not climbing any more corporate ladders, that's for sure. That's definitely not in my future. But maybe just, you know, doing more of the things that I love and things that I'm passionate about, and yeah, just striking that balance between, you know, being fulfilled in everyday life and also being fulfilled work-wise, I think is probably the goal.
And chickens.
And chickens, and maybe roses.
Roses.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason.
A pleasure. Thank you.